Hello, everybody, and welcome to the latest Behind Enemy Lines podcast on the Blood Red channel, courtesy of the Liverpool Echo, with myself, Patrick Smith, as we preview Liverpool's trip to the Etihad to take on Manchester City in what is pretty much a Premier League title decider. Liverpool have cut down a 14-point gap to catch up with leaders Man City, and the Reds need a result away from home as they currently are 1 point behind their rivals. But what can we expect from City on Sunday? How will they shape up, and will there be any Guardiola curveballs? Well, to answer these questions, I'm delighted to be joined by David Mooney from the Blue Moon podcast to discuss the nature of the task for Liverpool. So, David, what can our listening and watching Liverpool fans expect on Sunday?
I mean, I feel bad because you expect me to deliver some insight now, and the chances of what I say happening are quite slim. I have got absolutely no idea. I can give you an idea of what City are like this season. They are pretty much as you would expect from previous seasons. They don't have the same attacking edge as they had in especially 17-18 and 18-19, those two seasons. I even feel like they've dropped a little bit in the attacking edge from last season when they won the title. The question all season has been, have City missed out by not having a striker? And so far, I mean, first, whether or not you think they should have gone out and got a striker in the summer or in January or whatever, it's immaterial. They haven't got one. And so far, they've had what has been a pretty good solution to a problem that, if we're honest, probably should never have existed. But the truth is, here and there, they run into games where they have all the ball, they knock on the door and they knock on the door and they knock on the door, but it never opens. And there's, I think, the difference between City and Liverpool this season is Liverpool have that in the camp this year. They've got, I mean, the signing of Diaz has been a great capture. Jota's in form. I think it feels like from the outside looking in, Firmino's dropped in form a little bit, but he's still there and he's still dangerous. But aside from the obvious threats of Salah and Mane and everybody else on the pitch, you've got those players who, in games where you are knocking at the door, they're the ones that tend to find the net, and they're the ones that get the breakthrough. City have had a couple of times this season. I mean, it's rare. Don't get me wrong. It's not like I'm sitting here and saying, woe is me. When is City next going to score a goal? But like, there are times like Crystal Palace away, and there's been times where they've got into these games, they've passed it, and they've got it in good positions, but they have just missed. And it's been players who have that in their locker to miss. And what I mean by that is the sort of player that is an attacking midfielder rather than a striker, and that's what you get when you don't have somebody lethal in the box to be there and put the chances away. So, how all that matters for this game, I genuinely don't think that's a problem for City against Liverpool, because I think the way the two teams play, it kind of, I think there's going to be chances for both teams. I don't think it's going to be a case of City dominate the ball and have to knock, because Liverpool ain't going to come to the Etihad and sit back and go, we're going to do an Atletico Madrid and park the bus. That's like that would be a complete kind of 180 on everything that Liverpool have done all season. So it'll be a fairly open game, and there'll be spaces for both teams to work in. Whether that means it goes Liverpool's way, whether that means it goes City's way, it really is on the toss of a coin. It's real knife edge stuff. But where it becomes important is that if it finishes a draw, and I think at this stage both teams will be quite happy with the draw, because I think City will go, okay, we're still top, and Liverpool will go, we sense that they might drop points later in the season. That's where I am as well. I think City might drop points later in the season. It might be they go to West Ham, or they go to Wolves, and it's another one of those games where they knock, and they can't get through that door. So long story short, I think that means City, I think that makes this a must-win game for City, even though you have this situation where even if they draw it, they're still top of the league and still have the advantage. It feels like this is the last chance that they have to directly affect what Liverpool can do this season. And with that problem that City have trying to knock down a door sometimes, having a 4-point buffer between now and the end of the season is huge, because what it means is they have the ability to do that in one game and still be top. If they draw the game, they don't have that ability anymore, and that's why I think it's a real fine, precariously balanced situation right now.
Yeah, it really, really is. But you mentioned there how City love to dominate the ball, and they're probably not going to get the chance to do that against Liverpool. Do you think it suits City better in a game against, I know Atletico obviously are probably one of the best of all time at doing this, parking the bus and sitting behind, but do you think City are more suited to maybe not having possession, having chances to break against Liverpool with players like Sterling and Grealish getting in behind? Or
No,
would you rather dominate the ball?
I'd rather they dominate the ball because if I'm being brutally honest, City cannot counter-attack to save their lives. There's this image of City. Guardiola's City has gone through evolutions in its 6 years. The 17-18 side was very, very good at counter-attacking. It had Sterling wide right, it had Sane wide left, it had Aguero through the middle. Sterling's the only one of those left, and it feels sometimes like City go. Well, the one thing City don't want is a basketball game. They don't want a you attack, we attack situation. I think Liverpool, especially in this game, because I think Liverpool thrive in those conditions. I think Liverpool are very good at going, okay, you've got the ball and we're running back to our own goal, but we'll recover it. And now it's our turn to go and do that. And I think City are good at the recovery bit. I don't think they're very good at the breaking away and trying to score bit. And so you see this crazy situation. There's been times this season, I'm almost certain that Guardiola has told them, don't try and counter-attack, try and control the game. Because there's been times this season where they've picked the ball up and they've got an opportunity for one pass, and it will put them through in like a 3-on-1 situation, and they've kind of turned around and knocked it back to Ederson and gone, no, we are going to build this up and we're going to keep possession and make sure that we have control of this. So no, I don't think a counter-attacking.
Can we expect that on Sunday maybe, if there is a chance County would keep the ball rather than?
I think they keep the ball rather than go for the counter. I think they're in as much as I say they miss chances, they're much more likely to create a good goal scoring chance by keeping the ball than they are by trying to counter. The number of times they've countered and they just make the infuriatingly wrong decision to the point where even Liverpool fans will look at it and go, why on earth are you doing that? Even I'm annoyed that you've done that. So yeah, I don't think I can see it being very much a case of City trying to control the game. And I don't know if Liverpool will let them and let them kind of have the ball in non-dangerous areas in an attempt to try and get counter-attacks of their own. I don't know. But then again, I mean, Liverpool like the ball as well. So it's like it's going to be a real kind of finely balanced display. And I know what City are going to want to do. Whether or not they can do it, I don't know.
I mean, you've mentioned how they're lacking this striker. I know since Aguero's gone, you mentioned him as well. You are clearly lacking those goals. Who's stepped up in his place and is providing these goals and assists that you so dearly need?
It's Mahrez. Mahrez is the goal scorer right now.
Is he the main threat for Sunday?
Well, he might not even play. He might not even pick him like that. How can you have a player who you would go, yeah, he's the one that's been scoring goals this season, and then you find out he starts on the bench? It's just like so. I don't know. He is a threat. His delivery into the box is fantastic. And even though he's got one move and we all know it, it's that he gets the ball on the right hand side and he cuts inside onto his left and has a pop, and yet he's still done that so much this season, very occasionally. And I've noticed that somebody must have had a word with him and said, listen, you can't do that every single time, because this season every now and then he has gone round the outside on his right foot and we've all gone, oh good, look at that, he's gone on his right foot. But no, he's been the one that's been picking it up and belting it in. Bernardo's been in and out of form all season. He had a fantastic start to the season, dipped a little bit and then kind of picked it back over Christmas, and he's kind of in another position now where he's playing well, but he's not necessarily first name on the team sheet sort of territory. De Bruyne feels like he's just entering some form, and Phil Foden came off the bench. I actually thought it was a very intelligent little tweak that Guardiola did on Tuesday night with Foden. Because at the moment, the way he's played for City pretty much since he's come through, has been he needs to be on the pitch because he's great. And Guardiola dropped him to the bench for the Atletico Madrid game and went, no. If we play from the start, what's going to happen is you're going to get tired trying to find the way through. So what we'll do is we'll tire them out and then we'll bring you on. And like he never ever makes bold changes. And he made a triple substitution, so it was clearly a game plan to kind of leave those attacking players till Atletico were a bit tired. So I think Foden is dangerous, De Bruyne is dangerous, and Mahrez is dangerous. Whether I think at least two of the three will play. Whether the doubt is whether it's Foden or Mahrez is the one that joins De Bruyne.
I mean, we're also accustomed to the Guardiola rotation. You don't know who's going to start. You've got no idea. But now for Liverpool, we're in the strange situation we've never had before. Of actually, I'm not sure who's going to be the front three on Sunday. Now, from a City perspective, who would you least want to face? I mean, Salah's pretty much guaranteed to start, but they're the two positions. Who would you not want to face?
Any of them, they all score against City. I mean, the daft thing is, I mean, the advantage for City is it's at the Etihad. If it was at Anfield, then there's kind of no hope going into it because, like, every time City go to Anfield, it's not even like City play particularly badly. It's just that Liverpool decide to have a goal of the season contention in there. So, I mean, Salah's obviously good. The one I am really fearing at the moment is Jota. He seems to be. From the outside looking in, it feels like he's the one in form right now. He's got this annoying little knack of scoring when it feels like Liverpool are on the back foot, and then that kind of swings the momentum in the game into Liverpool's favour. And I think, I never like the phrase that the first goal is crucial in these sorts of games because, like, unless it's 6-0. Any goal is kind of crucial. It doesn't really, you know what I mean? It just feels like pathetic. I am making an important point, but not really saying anything. But I think if City are on top and Liverpool score first, I think that's a real test of then where City are at. I think if Liverpool are on top and City score first, I feel like Jota's in form at the minute is still okay for them to go, okay, well, we don't really need to change too much right now. There's no need to panic just yet. Whereas City's problem's knocking down that door, as I said earlier. If they're on top and Liverpool score, you then start to get the whole feeling of, oh, is this happening again, sort of thing. So it's like I keep saying, it's finely balanced. It is on a knife edge, and there's so many factors that come to it. I mean, we've not even talked about the Champions League factor, where even pull right out and look at the bigger picture. Like the game itself is finely balanced, but the Premier League title thing is finely balanced with the thing I said about having City potential having. For drop points later in the season that I don't think Liverpool have. Even the Champions League is like that because Liverpool have got the 2-goal advantage against Benfica. You've got the next game is at home rather than away. But City have got to go away and they do have the advantage, but it's very finely balanced because they've got to go to Madrid, and so it's like all of these factors kind of pour into this 190 minutes. And I mean, win, lose or draw for either team, it is fascinating to see how both Klopp and Guardiola will deal with it all. Because I mean, let's be honest, we could do it all again the following weekend for the FA Cup, and I almost wonder if by that stage both managers just go, right, we are knackered. Let's just get the game out. I don't care if it's a bad game. Just win it however.
Play the B teams.
Yeah, let's just win it however you got to win it. I don't really care. Let's just mentally, I just need to lie down. So let's just get it out of the way. And then, I mean, it doesn't get any easier after that because the Champions League draw has kept us both apart. So if we both carry on all the way through, we have to do it all again then in the final if we both get there. So it's a fascinating season. I'm not going to pretend I'm enjoying it, but it's fascinating.
It could be brilliant or terrible, couldn't it? I mean, do you think Guardiola will be a bit disappointed not to have put the Champions League tie to bed? Because obviously you've got to travel to Madrid, which is a very tough place to go with a very slender lead. Will he have an eye on that on Sunday, or do you have enough strength and depth to just go all guns blazing for both games?
I think the old version of Guardiola will have been a bit annoyed because City had a few more chances than they scored. I mean, they didn't have a whole plethora of chances, but that was partly because Madrid played 2 banks of 5, and it was really hard to kind of break them down. But there was a couple of moments where they could have got a pass off better or a slightly better shot, and they might have had a chance of making it 2-0. I don't think he's that upset with it, to be honest with you. He said in his post-match after the game that he felt like the away leg would be a bit more open, a bit more like the final kind of 15, 20 minutes of the Etihad game. And if that's the way, I think City will be quite happy with that because there's a bit more space there. There's a bit more for them to work with. And even if Madrid decide to play 2 banks of 5 and kill the game again, City are in the lead. They don't really need to go out there and exert themselves. So I don't think it plays a huge part on Sunday's game. And Guardiola's kind of become a lot more philosophical in the last kind of 18 months or so. He's kind of talked a lot about whatever happens. They'll give it their best, and They'll give it the best against Liverpool. They'll give it the best against Atletico. If it turns out that in both games it's not enough, then so be it. That's kind of how it is, and I think he kind of accepts that that we all start again with 0 in August, and we get to have another go at it next season. And he seems in a really good mood. After the Burnley win at weekend in his press conference, he was cracking jokes like I've never heard him crack before, like really, really suspiciously relaxed sort of thing. And then after the Atletico game, he was the same. He's quite laid back. So I think he looks at the whole thing and goes, "We are in the conversation. We're good enough to win these games, but Liverpool are good enough to win these games as well. So we might win, we might not. I can't really control too much about that now. So let's just see what happens."
I mean, all the talk in Liverpool is about a quadruple. Would City, City is still up for the treble as well. Would not winning a treble be a failure for Pep, or is he just, as you said, really chilled ahead of next season?
He's chilled these days. I think he doesn't like. I think the old version of him. I mean, every now and then you get a peek into his mind when he talks about the Champions League. It's the Champions League more than anything else, I think, because he always says, whenever he gets asked, does he need to win it or anything like that? You know the sorts of questions where we sit in press conferences and we go, "Oh, I need to make him say something about the Champions League." So like the best we can do is go, Pep, do you really need to? Do you need to win it or whatever? And his answers always says, no, as long as we're playing well and as long as we're playing good football, then I'm happy. But every now and then he chucks in I know I didn't win it at Bayern Munich, and I know I'm fraudiola and all that sort of stuff. So he's obviously aware that sort of stuff exists. But I don't think he lets it bother him as much as he used to. I think it used to get to him, and I don't think it gets to him anymore. And I think he's a lot more sort of, again, whatever happens. So I don't think he'll look at not winning a treble as a failure. I think he would see it as a failure if City abandoned their kind of their style and their kind of mentality and their kind of fortitude. And if they played this Liverpool game spamming crosses into the box, which is not what they do, and lost the game, he'd come out afterwards and say, "Well, I don't know why the hell we did that, because that's not us." I think if they play the way he wants them to play and they lose, I think he's quite happy with that, and he understands that on most other days they'll play that way and they'll win. So I think he can see the kind of bigger picture. I think if they won all 3 trophies that they're still in, and they did it in a manner of which Atletico Madrid played at the Etihad, I think he would be furious with that. I think he would see that as such an insult to how football could be played. So I don't think it's as simple as winning trophies equals success. I think for a lot of us fans, it is, but for a lot of managers, and Pep's one of them, I think he sees it as we need to play it the right way.
Yeah, he's always so happy, isn't he?
Well, yeah, I don't know. It's there's sometimes when he says, like, I think a lot of people outside of City don't get him, because he's very. He says so happy when he doesn't mean that, but he also says it when he does mean it. And I think you have to kind of see from his body language and how he's saying it when he is actually so happy, or when actually he's really, really annoyed by something, but he doesn't want to say it publicly.
I'm going to bring it back around to Sunday's game, though. Are there any notable injuries within the City squad going into the game?
That's a good question. Not off the top of my head. We'll find out more on Friday. Guardiola's not one to usually to say people are injured when they're not. I think Diaz won't be ready. But even if he was, I don't think he'd start. I think it would probably be Stones and Laporte anyway. And beyond that, I can't think of anyone who's been missing lately. There was only Torres, and he left in January, so I can't think of anybody that's likely to be out. Diaz might. I think Diaz made the bench against Burnley or Atletico. I can't remember, one of the two. And I think he's probably going to be on the bench again.
Well, if you thought that one was tough, my next question is going to be even tougher for you, because on Behind Enemy Lines, I do ask for the opposition's predicted starting 11.
Oh, God.
If I had to ask you for a lineup prediction, what do you think City will line up as on Sunday?
I think the back four picks itself, because I think it's Ederson in goal. The fact that Walker didn't play against Madrid because he was the third of his 3-game suspension, I think that automatically puts him back in there. And City are better defensively with Walker anyway. And then I think it's Stones and Laporte in the middle and Cancelo at left back. Rodri play. That's about as certain as I can be with this starting lineup. After that, it gets a bit kind of here and there. So I think after that, you're probably looking. Let's start with the front players. I think you're looking at Foden, either wide left or false nine. I think you're looking at Sterling either wide left or false nine, and then Mahrez on the right hand side. You have to play De Bruyne with how well he's been playing lately, and then I think it's a pick between Gundogan or Bernardo for that final spot. And I think my gut instinct is saying Bernardo because of the energy that he offers, but he might pick Gundogan because of the control that he offers. And if I'm anywhere near that with that starting lineup, then I should put some money on the lottery this weekend.
Yeah, get some bets on at Aintree this week.
Yeah,
well, I think we're all set for a Premier League Classic, aren't we? It's the biggest match in my memory between two title rivals since probably 2014, when unfortunately we fell short. So hopefully it's different.
Drab 0-0 this time. That's what it'll be.
But I'm going to have to ask you for a score prediction. It's my last question.
Yeah, I've gone on everything that I've done so far. I've said 1-1 because I think as much as that doesn't put anything to bed, and I think both sides will be quite happy with nothing being put to bed. A Liverpool win doesn't put it to bed as much as a City win would, but I think Liverpool are much more capable than City of winning every game after it to the end of the season than City are because of that striker issue. And so I think meet in the middle, call it a draw.
I mean, there's spot on an artist because a City win does put it to bed for me. My head, being professional, does say I think it'll be a 1-1 draw, but my heart says I think we'll sneak a 2-1 win, a late winner. I think maybe Jota or someone, but we are going to wait and see, of course. David Mooney, thank you so much for joining me. We'll, of course, wait and see what happens, and we've got loads of pre-match content to delve into, as well as all the post-match reaction. So be sure to keep us up to date in the usual places of the Liverpool Echo, Liverpool.com, and, of course, the Blood Red channel. But for now, though, thank you very much for watching and listening. We'll be back post-match after the game against City. Thanks to David Mooney from the Blue Moon podcast for joining me. But for myself, Patrick Smith, it's bye for now.